Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga-Texas construction update video.
We're back out here at Giga-Texas. It's Monday, the 27th of March, 2023. And as you know, it's the end of the quarter coming up, so there's a big push with a lot of the Model Ys, as you can see here on the new car staging and transportation lot. Also, if you look closely, there's a lot of them are in white. So it's very interesting. Maybe people are trying to take advantage of the tax incentives before they may come to an end later this month, but we'll see. But it's great to see all this activity to prepare for the end of the month. Now, a couple other things that I want to show you. We'll start on the south end with a lot of activity. A couple of detail items here. You see that underground cistern, or certainly a very large pipe that's filled with water and now is capped off. This construction project looks to be just about completed. Also nearby on the south end, as you can see here, more of that underground old stored water pipe, that corrugated steel pipe, has been removed and is being stacked up into various piles so that they can be transported off the site. As we've talked about before, this is important because they need to have these pipes removed before they can start the construction project. So a lot of progress on that. Another thing that is of interest today, as you can see here on the west side, that white staining of the walls is continuing to progress towards the north. Now it's well over many of these receiving doors. So crews are continuing to work on this, so we'll continue to watch it as it proceeds to the north on this west side. And the last thing I want to talk about is here up at the battery cathode and die shop site. As you can see, those 4 large stainless steel tanks that we saw first west of the highway and then moved over to the south end of the warehouse on wheels have now been moved, as we suspected, up by the battery cathode plant, along with a couple of other large white tanks. And I believe that this is part of the lithium hydroxide production processes. So I'll be watching to see which particular building these are installed in. Also, as you can see here, the wall construction continues on that east side and also the north side of the die shop, so that's coming along. And then finally, as you can see here, a close-in image of that heavily reinforced and deep piered foundation that they're building in that northwest corner of the die shop is still coming along. Looks like there's some plumbing, a little bit more rebar work is needed, and then hopefully we'll start seeing concrete here soon. So as you can tell, there's a lot of activity today. We spend a lot of time over large sections of the site, so make sure you watch the whole video for a lot of great things. As always, thank you very much for watching and for all of your great support. I very much appreciate it. And let's have a great week and end of the quarter push. Take care.
My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga-Texas. We start off near Tesla Road on the northwest side of the Central Highway. We see many trucks lined up for their time slots to enter Giga-Texas. And this is also happening near where all of these steel materials are being stockpiled in this particular material storage location. And as we turn a little bit towards the south, you'll see, in addition to all of the steel parts that are stored here, there's a lot of other materials as well. Some concrete panels on the left and the top of the screen. And we can also see a welding shop here with some steel parts put out for some welding and other alteration. Here you can see many of these concrete vault and manhole cover items waiting for installation, and some white tanks as well. As we approach this middle staging location, it continues to grow. More materials, some of these red components on the right-hand side of the screen for platforms, some other steel materials as well, some containers, some workshops, And also these two large tents, and nearby some of the purple irrigation pipe, and also a lot of the landscaping trees and bushes and other items that will be planted around Giga-Texas. So quite a bit of interesting activity over on this side of the highway. So you can get a good view of the factory from this vantage point across the highway as well. And a nice sunrise, although there are some clouds in the sky kind of blocking it today. But anyway, this is a good view from this side of the highway, so let's get ready to cross over the highway and we'll resume the flight on that side of the construction site. There's a good view of the north end of the factory. The corner here where the 4680 production takes place. You can also see quite a bit of tables in the second and third floor windows. I think this is a cafeteria that's been added fairly recently into this part of the building. Now on the berm we can see some crews working with some gravel in kind of a formation that suggests that they're doing this for perhaps erosion control. There's also a fire hydrant there, so it may be related as well. And it looks like some of that white temporary irrigation pipe is being installed as well. As we get a little bit closer here to the lift station for the sewage system at the bottom of the screen, we can also see this cleared section with more trees that have been planted and other trees that are sitting here for landscaping at some time in the future. So this is kind of a staging location. But with these trees being planted, this indicates that the pipe work and other construction here has completed, at least for this point in time. This landscaped section continues to show the plants on that gravel that used to be by the main entrance for the Investor Day, and some other materials staged here, as well as 3 concrete planters. And these are more rectangular, and we'll see a few more of those with trees in just a little bit, and we'll show you how that they're starting to be arranged by the factory. This is a good view of that main entrance as they are preparing to do additional construction. At the bottom of the screen you can see all of the gravel has been moved away. There's been some excavation on either side of these cyber berms in kind of a triangular section, and it looks like there's some work being done next to the road as well. So something that we'll continue to monitor. And you can see here the trees in those rectangular planters that have been placed at this point of the building, and we should see more of that around the factory as well. The NALCOG crews continue to apply the white stain on the west side of the building. See, all the windows have been taped up and put plastic on to protect them when they apply the white stain. And they're continuing to work towards the north on this side, approaching near where that main entrance is. So it's something to definitely watch and see how they progress. And here's a good view of one of the workers applying some of the white stain near the windows. You can also see how it has been applied around the receiving docks as well. As we approach the southwest corner, you can see the receiving docks on the ground floor, and also this section that has the windows removed. Still no major changes in the last few days. As we get here to the south end on the left-hand side and right in front of us, we can see all of the asphalts being removed from these concrete and road sections. And this cistern pipe looks like its construction is nearing completion as well. As we look across the south end, you can see quite a bit of activity with excavators filling in many of these trenches. They've already completed the stormwater bypass, and they're preparing to remove more of the corrugated steel pipe from the old installation that is no longer compatible with the construction that is going to happen here. So as we tour around the south end, a couple of things to keep in mind and look for as we fly around here is, 1, the asphalt that's removed, 2, some of the old pipes that have been removed, and some of them have been piled into some areas for later pickup and recycling, and also just some new materials that have been delivered as well, particularly over near where the temporary platform is still active despite all the rest of the construction that is going on. So let's tour around the south end and we'll see how this looks today with all of this activity. On the south side of the cyber pond, looks like the trailers with rebar, most of them have been removed and the rebar moved inside, most likely stamping 2 at the south end of the building. And that's another great sign that they're working on the slab work and the final touches of the isolation foundations, which will be necessary to install the AIDA and other metal forming machines that we can see a few of the components waiting here next to the side of the building wrapped in blue. And I'm really hoping that we'll see the movement of this inside that south end of the building very soon. But this is a good view of what it looks like on the east side of the stamping structure itself next to the power lines. So let's pull up in altitude and away from the building and get a good view of how the entire south end looks today, all of the preparation work that is prerequisite for the construction to begin. So this is a good view of this entire south end. As we fly to the north along the east side of the building, it's a good view of just some of the activity that is going on here. On the left side is the stamping machine structure, and you can see those openings where they do the recycling of the scraps from the stamping machine structure. And also we can see some white Model Ys that are being lined up here on next to that dirt road. That seems to be a new process where they line a bunch of them up here before they move them over to the new car testing and calibration and supercharging a lot. You can actually see a Model Y on the left-hand side of the screen driving into this lot, and it'll go on the test track and be tested out before they do charging and prepare it for shipping. This is also a good view of the east side of this parking lot with the helicopter pad, and you can also see how active the new car staging and transportation lot is in the upper right, and we'll get a closer view of that at the end of the video. But as we turn back towards the building, you can get a good sense of the activity here in this particular lot and the amount of work that's going on with the superchargers. Next to the building on the south side of all of these new receiving doors, we see that small retaining wall has been poured in concrete in that earth area. That's one of the last things that they'll do before they complete the plumbing and then the rebar and concrete pours. We also see quite a bit more of the castings here next to those receiving doors as well. As I fly a little bit farther north, I'll look down. You can see this blue kind of entranceway with the gates. That's where the workers come in, and it looks like some asphalt work was done next to those stairs. We can see all of the castings lined up on the east side of the casting machine structure, and these are the ones that are for production and will be installed into the car bodies in the body in white in a little time after they are moved from here down to the south. Here on this side we can see some blue water pipe has been installed along the base of the power lines, and this will help feed the water line that goes over to the battery cathode and the die shop complex of buildings. bringing the drone down here so you can see some of these scrap castings that have been arranged here waiting for recycling. There's also a very interesting device next to them, kind of black. I'm not really sure what that is. So if you happen to know, let me know in the comment section of the video. As we approach the north end of the building, once again, we can see that all the materials next to these two platforms for the paint shop have essentially been removed. So it does look like the work going on inside has pretty much wrapped up, which is great to see. At the platform, the lower one here for the 4680 battery production section, this is one of several blue small tanks that I've seen this morning delivered and moved up onto this platform. So pretty interesting to wonder what that is for and how it supports the battery cell production. On the roof here, these ducts are very active, and you can see some of the vapors coming out of them. It shows that the production of the 4680 continues inside. And this is a close view of this sort of temporary structure. You can see the solar panels have been removed and stacked on the left. I'm not sure exactly what this is, but it looks like another cooling tower opening has been added on this part of the building. So as we continue to fly up towards the north over the north parking lot and Tesla Road, we can see this clearing section continues to get widened and have some gravel spread on top of the graded section, and then there's more earthwork going on just to the north of the gravel section to further level out this particular grade. And again, this is where the Megapack battery electric storage system should be installed. And with all of this work, hopefully that means that we'll see that in the near future. As we climb up over the power lines, I'll give you a good view of the new permanent electrical switchyard and how it looks today. You can see all the transformers on the the right-hand side of the screen, and a lot of the rest of the steel assembly and some trench work as well. As we fly around these tall steel power poles, I'll show you that the crews are continuing to run a lot of the wires from the old poles to the new ones and then to the electrical switchyard. And from this top-down view, you can see one of the older poles has been removed and is laying on the ground for disassembly. And also this gives you a good sense of how all of the wires are being lined and wired from all of the power poles over to the electrical switchyard. And again, there's that pole that's been removed, and it looks like they may be working at the base of another one of those power poles. There's a good view of the crews doing the wire stringing on one of the power poles here with those large man lifts, and that new pole in the center that was just recently assembled. As we fly to the south along this side of the electrical switchyard, you can see more work here by the last of the A-frame structures. And you can see it looks like some more of the steel components and possibly disconnect bars are being installed right now as well. And as we get closer to this south end next to the transformers, you can see more of those kind of rectangular steel structures just south of the transformers, and some trenching work as well continues. But continue to see some nice progress here with the last part of the electrical switchyard assembly. As I face the drone to the south, we'll fly over and take a look at some of that water pipe installation that's going on just to the north of Tesla Road. Looking down into the trench here, you can see the blue water pipe continues to be installed, heading towards the battery cathode and die shop complex of buildings, and it looks like they're starting to fill in this portion of the trench, which is excellent. Also here, the long pipes, the HDPE black pipes for the treated water, still waiting for installation. And also we can see that a lot of the trench work has been filled in. There's still this depression that I'm waiting for them to fill in as well. As we approach the south side of the die shop and I turn the drone back towards it, a few things that I want to point out. First of all, at the bottom of the screen you can see 4 of these concrete vaults and a lot of the conduit being arranged by the crews now. This is the conduit that will extend over, connect to power, and then bring power to the die shop and the battery cathode plant complex of structures as well. As we get a little bit closer to the die shop, you see the progress on the ground slab on the center and the east sides. Still a few sections with that yellow moisture barrier that have to have concrete poured at the near future. And you can also see the yellow moisture barrier here on the southwest corner of the building now as they continue to work to extend the slab on this side of the building as well. You see those form works next to the bottom of the columns. Those are for the perimeter grade beam, and that's what the wall panels will eventually sit on when they install it. So I'm going to give you a zoom in view here so you can see the progress on applying the yellow moisture barrier amongst this reinforced section of the slab. And this is similar to the one you see coming up on the left, except it's not as deep. So there will be something heavy installed here, but not quite the same as what will be installed here. And with the formwork, the plumbing pipes, and also the rebar, you can see continued work needs to be made here before we'll see concrete poured on that particular foundation. I'm going to point the drone a little bit towards the north so you can get a good sense of the west side of the building and all the materials and the workshops here. And I'll give you a closer view of the west side of the cathode plant in just a bit. But I wanted to give you a different perspective and a zoom in view of this deep foundation from this vantage point, so you can just get a sense of how close they are to having this completed. It still looks like we're a week or two away from concrete being poured in this particular section of the building. You can also see the wall panels have been installed a little bit past halfway on this particular portion of the building. And this galvanized steel structure has got more activity as well, with installation of a lot of components. You can see some of the red painted pumps, the pipes, some more of the equipment wrapped in that white plastic, and also that white tank next to the concrete wall. As I turn a little bit towards the north here, you can see where the arrow is. One of the 2 temporary platforms now has been removed, so we may see concrete wall panels installed on that opening pretty soon. Another thing that I noticed as we continue to fly to the north on this side of the building, near where this blue and white crane is, we see these 4 stainless steel tanks and 2 more white tanks. These are the ones that we talked about many months ago that were stored across the west side of the highway, and then later on were moved to the south end of the east warehouse on wheels. Suspected that these are parts of the lithium hydroxide production methodologies and equipment that will be installed here. So it's really great to see that they've finally been moved over in this part of the construction site, which means we'll soon start seeing them installed. I'm just curious which of the 2 buildings we'll see it installed in. As I pull away to the northeast, this gives you a good view of this clearing. I'll come a little bit farther to the north and point your direction to the left-hand side of the screen, this hill. You can see that earthwork continues to remove dirt here. Eventually, I believe that this hill will be completely removed. They're using some of this dirt in other sections of the site, and then they may use this to prepare the grade on this part of the construction site at some point in the future. As we approach back towards the building on the east side now, you can see a lot more progress continues to happen on the cell test lab, this small steel structure on the left-hand side, and also just the continual slow removal of materials on this side as they go inside the structure. As I get close to these 2 openings, I'll give you a good view inside the platforms that are being installed. You can also see a large steel tank with that worker in the shorter section, and then more of the 4-story platform has been installed above the SACME presses. As we approach this portion of the building, you can see some more equipment on the ground floor opening has been installed, and they continue to install equipment on the 2 platforms. And it looks like they made a dirt ramp at the end of this trapezoidal concrete section. I'll continue to fly the drone around this end of the building. I'll give you a good view into this large opening on the second floor. It looks like it's still been completely cleared out. I do not see any equipment installed yet, but there are several mounts that are cast into that concrete floor. So I'm expecting to see something in the near future. On the ground here, you see those concrete vaults and more of the conduit that will serve the battery cathode plant, and also the wall panel installation on the left-hand side of the screen. I'm going to give you a view looking down onto this galvanized steel structure, give you a top-down view of how all of the manifold pipes and equipment installation is coming along, and also some of that great walkway that has been put on the roof section here. I'm hoping at some point we'll start seeing those Evapco large AC and fan units that are currently stored on the west side installed here. And I will turn back towards the die shop and give you a perspective of the east side with all the wall panels now extending almost to the end, only 4 more sections until it reaches the end of the building. You can see here a lot more of the materials continue to be stored on this north end of the warehouse on wheels, and the warehouse on wheels still tends to be very active here, although many of the trailers are now on the west side of the highway on the south end. But I wanted to fly down this way to show you the progress on this new clearing, which I suspect is a new construction site. First, you'll see all the superchargers temporarily stored here. These are the ones that were removed from the south end of the building. And then where you see the dump truck applying the dirt next to that bulldozer, that's where those 4 stainless steel pipes, tanks, and the 2 white tanks that we saw on the north side of the battery cathode plant, this is where they were temporarily stored. Now that they've been removed, you can see that they're continuing to work and complete the grade for this construction site. You can see the very defined square grade that has been prepared and some of the gravel that we'll see spread on top of this grade in the near future. And we'll end up here at the new car staging and transportation lot, where we see a lot of Model Ys ready for pickup and transportation, and many of them are in white as well, which may be an indication that customers are trying to get the Model Ys before the potential reduction or elimination of some of the EV tax credits. We'll have to see how that happens and what information that we get, but this is a good view of how busy and how many of the Model Ys are ready for shipping and transport to customers. So as I pull away to the north and reveal the main factory and the surrounding area, I hope that you found this video and the information that we discussed helpful and informative as well. As always, I appreciate your support. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a great week, and we'll see how well Tesla does on this end of quarter push. So let's keep our fingers crossed for a big delivery number. Take care.